Joining us now to break down the latest developments at the NATO summit are two guests. Robert Spalding is a retired U.S. Air Force Brigadier General and former Senior Director for Strategic Planning at the White House National Security Council. Mary Beth Long is the former chair of NATO's high-level group and former U.S. Assistant Secretary of Defense for International Security. Thank you both so much for joining us. Good to see you again. Now, General, I want to start with you. The NATO summit has concluded, and a large focus is on China as a, quote, decisive enabler of Russia's war in Ukraine. First, what do you make of that statement, and what are your overall thoughts on the NATO summit?
Well, unfortunately, it's feckless because unless you're going to put stress on China via sanctions or some other methodology, they're going to continue to supply Russia. And, we have seen no indication that they're willing to slow down that support, even in light of this type of language.
And Mary Beth, NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg said China can't enable the largest conflict in Europe in recent history without this negatively impacting their interest and reputation. What is your take on this? How should NATO deal with the China threat?
Well, I think the Brigadier General has it right. This is the second or third time that leadership in NATO have called out China, and it be not only the most critical enabler, but even the declaration goes on to say a threat to the Europeans. Without follow-up action, however, either from NATO itself or its membership, I think that the interpretation that she may get is that this is a bit of a paper tagger.
And General, Beijing has fired back at that today, accusing NATO of having what it calls a Cold War mentality. Now, we are currently seeing China and Belarus holding a joint drill just miles from Poland. But that aside, what can we expect from China?
I think they're going to do more of the same. They've, not only supporting Russia in Europe, they're aggressive in Asia, they're supporting Iran and who's supporting Hamas in the Middle East. So, much like the Soviet Union was creating challenges for the free world and proxy states around, is basically taking over that mantle in what is, the second Cold War.
And Mary Beth, what about Russia? How might Russia respond to all of this?
Well, I think Russia is looking at this with perhaps a bit of bemusement, if not amusement. Look, at the same time China is exercising with Belarus, it's parked one of its largest ships just right off the coast of the Philippines. Russia, literally on the second day of the NATO meeting, possibly intentionally, missile attacked a hospital that had children in it in Kyiv and didn't even bother to pretend it was a mistake. I think at this point, Putin is going to do a wait and see, and he'll probably not get much of a response, and he will force, I think, additional conflict and additional confrontations.